I was reading about Boris Kornfeld. He was a threat to the Russian Empire during the early 50s. And he was a medical doctor and considered to be among the intelligentsia of the country of Russia. But one night, the law enforcement went into his house, stripped him naked, and dragged him off to prison because he was a threat. He thinks for himself and he speaks for himself. So Boris is separated from his family. He's literally locked up in a Russian prison for life. No trial. They just locked him up for life. And so he knows he's in there for life. He's stripped of his dignity, his ability to do the things he knows best of all. He's stripped of the respect, the reputation that he had. So he is in absolute misery in prison. But every day, the person in the cell next to him prays multiple times these words: Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come. And you know this prayer, you and I know this prayer. But Boris Kornfeld, he did not know that prayer, but he hears this prayer every day that he's in prison from the cell next to him. And then one day he meets this fella outside of the prison, outside of his cell, not outside of the prison. But they were outside of the cell when Boris Kornfeld met this man. And this man talked to him about Jesus Christ and explained to him that he was a Christian. Told him about his sin, how he had repented, and how he had come to know Jesus Christ as his Lord and Savior. Boris Kornfeld, the doctor, now becomes a Christian. He's born again in prison. And he starts speaking out against the injustices with a brand new boldness. And he is threatened by the guards and the prison officials. And one day in the prison hospital where Boris is allowed to practice medicine, there's a young man who's brought in who is desperately, terminally ill. And as Boris examines the young man, he discovers that this patient is more sick spiritually than he is sick physically. Yes. That he is desperately lost, unsaved. And so in this one encounter, Dr. Kornfeld, a new believer in prison life, who's in prison for life, he looks at this young man and tells him about the healing power of Jesus Christ. Yes, yes. The guards overhear it. They heard the conversation that Dr. Kornfeld had. So they took him out and they beat him to death. The last words he spoke to that young man was about Jesus. The next day the young man awakes and he has been stirred by the testimony of Dr. Kornfeld. And then he learns about the death of Dr. Kornfeld. And those words, "you must be born again," kept ringing in this young man's ears. Until one day he became a Christian. He became a Christian and gave his life to Jesus Christ. And eventually he's released from prison and he writes words on paper that would embarrass and destroy the communist empire. His name was Alexander Solzhenitsyn, a new believer, a world changer, because somebody told the story that you and I have known all of our lives. Peter and John said, can't help it, have to obey God. Must tell the story about Jesus Christ. Are you a believer in Jesus Christ? Do you have any evidence to back up your claim? And do you tell the story? Songwriter sat down and wrote a song. He said, I love to tell the story. It's on page 424. Won't you stand today and let's sing that song? I love to tell the story.
Things